Okay, hey poetry freaks. Welcome to Breakfast Poetry. Not live. I'm recording it today. I'm gonna actually just record it and then slap it up there because I've had a lot of trouble with the connection to both Instagram and StreamYard. So I have two theories, and one is that they are paving over this field that's been next to this house for, well, since at least 1978. And so I think they're stirring up some ghosts that are angry and getting into the works. And then my second theory is that's also related to, okay, it's much better now, but the phlegm of the morning, also the internet. I just think that, like, if we got rid of our carpeting, our ancient carpeting, all of those things would clear up. That's my theory. So welcome. It's Tuesday, April 25th. Welcome to Breakfast Poetry Life in the last full week of the last week of National Poetry Month. There's only like Sunday next week, if you feel like Sunday is the first day of the week, which the calendar says and stuff like that. So let us begin with a weird work, as we always do. 2 rooms dancing in, divided by its moon and cat, divided by its flashing eyes and movement of all within, a Rorschach of Halloween, a dim chance of a groovy scene, a hellscape of retromance, a devil's chance, a devil's dance, chanted, connected me to my words, night, connect me with my words. And that's just the word tumbles that sometimes occur in a nice, dark, white noised up room, which is how I sleep best. And so anyway, some weird words will sometimes just roll through the head. And that was one. So that's what we're beginning with every day of National Poetry Month, just weird stuff that I wrote down in the middle of the night or in that little dim time right before sleep or right before waking. All right. Secondly, okay, well, 2 things about the Beautiful Words poem. Yesterday's got eaten by Instagram. I could not get the platform that I use to send to YouTube to do a thing yesterday. It was thinking the whole time about maybe starting the broadcast. So today, even though I have a little more time and have the day off, I was just utterly scarred yesterday. So I hope I'll try maybe live again tomorrow or Thursday. I do work tomorrow, so maybe on Thursday. Working every other day this week, so it's so much less disorienting than the times that I work like 2 or 3 days in a row and then I'm off for 3 days, and then it's like I have to be in this world and then get to go be in this world and then have to come back to this world, and so it's very disorienting. I don't know, weird. Just one of those things, if you never thought about it. I mean, sometimes part-time work is half a day, and sometimes it's part of a day for a few days and then no days and then back to it. Anyway, interesting. So, Beautiful Words, as I was saying. Yes, the peace poem that I was supposed to read yesterday got eaten. And also, I'm going to go to raconteur, which was yesterday's beautiful word, drawn from the can, raconteur. Raconteur recounts the follies of all who shadow the door. Raconteur cannot reassure, and nor can he adore. Raconteuse would cut him loose and sit beneath the Norway spruce and sip the long life green chartreuse. The end. For yesterday's beauty, raconteur. And as I tried to gently peace poem all the way to the beginning of the document, and now I've got to scroll back down to peace, and I wrote 3 peace poems. Which one will I read? I'll read the one that I tried to peace. They were brilliant hours once, now closed, and where is peace for my soul? I wrap up in eternity's cloak with intention and devote myself to prayer. Where it takes me, will I like it there? Then I wrote another one that went like this, is while we're at it. While we're here, I'm looking right at it. Peace gave forth a song in the tundra where I did not expect it. The devil gives no peace, correct? Why don't I know if that's right? I am released alone onto the tundra with my parka hood packed with questions. Peace, you are a flitty little tundra lizard bouncing in and away. Or maybe I gave you a push. The end. And those were the beautiful words for yesterday and today. Peace and raconteur. So now we find out what the poem for tomorrow will contain from the Beautiful Words can. lot of words in here and only a few days left. So what if I don't get the most beautiful one? Lullaby. I agree. Lullaby is a beautiful word. There's something about the word lull that lulls me, and I guess that's one of those, oh crap, I just ran across a word for this yesterday. And I don't remember where. It might have been in Granger's when I was doing the poetry, reading. Oh, that reminds me, I printed off something that I wanted to read here and I left it upstairs. I'm not going to run up there and, well, you could have this great view of all my little poet portraits and stuff. But anyway, Columbia Granger's World of Poetry not only has a daily poem, they also have a little bit of trivia on the side, and it involved Lord Byron yesterday. So, all right, intention to read that tomorrow. Or I don't know, maybe I'll pop on Instagram Live and read it. That's kind of fun to do at times like this when it's sort of a celebratory air of National Poetry Month. Just pop up and be like, oh, I found this one that I wrote when I was 17, or whatever. I did that last National Poetry Month. I found a letter I'd written. My parents had saved letters. I wrote them in college, and I was in a poetry class at one point. Mostly I took fiction classes when I was doing a lot of creative writing classes. But my poetry class, and I'm going to mention it here in a minute, my teacher, but I'd sent them a letter, and here's 2 poems I wrote, and I read one on National Poetry Month, Breakfast Poetry Live, and was like, this could be so humiliating, but what you do is you just like dive in and read it like it's a legitimate poem from a poet who is in a period of growth. And that's what we always are anyway, if you want to get real philosophical about it. I am in a period of growth now for what I will be later. And at that point onward from there, my teacher in that poetry class in college, I don't remember her name. She had the most wonderful color of dyed hair. There was like that red wine color, this sort of purple. That this was like the 90s. You didn't see. I mean, you did. There was manic panic and some extreme people. It seems weird to say they were just only extreme people would strip bleach their hair. You had to do it that way back then. And then apply the manic panic and be going around with really bold colors of hair that you can just kind of like shampoo in right now or whatever. But my wine-haired poetry teacher, whose name I don't recall, and I like to think she never told us, said something that stuck with me for all of these years. This was like 1993 or 94. I can't remember. I think it was spring. So 94, my sophomore year. And she said one day in class, something I've carried with me that has helped me so much. And she just one day off the cuff said, if you turn in all of your assigned poems, you'll get an A in the class, because who am I to judge your poetry? And I thought, all I've done all my life is be judged by teachers. Maybe not in a judgy, mean way, but that's their job, And so that opened it up to me that anything was possible. I hadn't hit on that yet. I did in private. I had hit on that. I had hit on the high and the rush of just like gushing my words out and seeing what they look like. I'd hit on that, but I had not given myself permission to turn that in a poetry class or read it out loud in a poetry class. And so it really did just open the floodgates for whatever I was boy crazy about or emotional about. And so thank you, unnamed poetry teacher, who also would give us extra credit for going to attending poetry readings on campus. And that was like so stirring to me to go and watch someone just read their poems and people come. Who knows? Maybe they pack the house with people in English classes that were like, oh crap, I need extra credit. Maybe, but I don't care. That's not how I saw it. I went in there and was just like, oh, this is the world of poetry. Everybody's eyes are on this poet, So there you go. Exhibitionism, right? I should have put that in my list of neuroses. Well, anyhow, slight. Okay. Lullaby, tomorrow's poem. Don't remember if I addressed everything that I started out to address in that long spiel I just made, but let us look at the poetical bingo card that I posted to Instagram at Hipness_and_outrage. It's up now. It's just got some inspiring things. I was leaning heavily. I was actually just going through a poet's glossary by Edward Hirsch last night and having the time of my life. pulling out things to just make into bingo squares. Now, sonnet to food is me, right? I like to write sonnets to pie, usually. I've got a banana cream pie sonnet and a pie sonnet. And I'd heard that I was inspired by this back in the Texas years. I had heard that the poet, I'm remembering her name right now casually, Mona Van Dyne, had written a poem that was a sonnet to her kitchen sink. And I don't remember if I ever found it or read it. I just read somewhere Mona Van Dyne wrote a sonnet to her kitchen sink. And so I did write one, but like from the whole angle of how I would occasionally bathe my baby in it when he was little, you know, when he was like 3 months old or 4 months old or whatever. And so I did write that. I like to write sonnets to the mundane. I think that's like so much fun, but especially food. That's the first square. Let's not take all that much time on every square because some are Gwendolyn Brooks, read one. Dylan Thomas, read one. So a couple of poets you might check out for your poetical bingo. Free verse instead of free square or free space. Poetry of crisis, terrifying, visionary, spiritual. Some of these are like, I was reading a description of Dada. I was reading a description of some form or school of poetry, and I would get a really fun phrase that resonated with me, and I'd put it in there, and that is definitely one. There was an example poem that contained the phrase naked among the books. There you go. I rhyme. That is when it rhymes visually, but not necessarily to your ear. So there are all kinds of things because poetry is read out loud. Many people say it's to be read out loud. Sure, like, you know, like song, but also there are the times when you're sitting in a quiet place waiting for the bus or you know, just, you know, and on your break at work or just hanging out or whatever, and you're going to read it in your mind with your eyes, and so you'll get your eye rhyme. Cento, patchwork, poetry made from lines of existing poems. Kind of like the first lines necklace, which is strictly first lines, all of one poet. Although it would be interesting to make one of various poets, wouldn't it? But I do love just to look at those first lines. But cento would be if you took just existing poems and pulled whatever line from, you know, however many. And I would have to look closer into cento to see if it has to be a certain number of lines or stanzas. But that was what I pulled for the bingo. Oh, recite epic poetry aloud in Rhapsody. Dada. I love the description of Dada. Thank you, Edward Hirsch. I think I may have reworded it a little bit, but not much. Dada, flamboyantly self-conscious and joyously nihilistic. Yes, they were responding to the horrors of the Great War, World War I. And, oh, all right, we get it. Nothing makes sense. Therefore, in art now, nothing makes sense. So, Dada, I love it. I sing in my own way. A quote from Mario de Andrade, favorite poet of Hallucinated City from Brazil. So the square says I sing in my own way, end quote. Mario de Andrade, do that. So go and sing in your own way. And we can leave it there. You can check this out at Hipness&Outrage, at Hipness_and_outrage on Instagram. And I think I posted it to my Facebook, Amy Zollers. And so that's Poetical Bingo. Really fun. I have others. I have one from last year and I have one that I took to a school a couple of weeks ago. So I think like today I'll do the older one because I posted this last night. And then maybe tomorrow the kids one. So you can share with the kids in your life. It's a little more simple. I'm going to continue through the week to read a little bit from my own works because I haven't said much about them, I don't think, on this platform. I do on the live streams, and sometimes I'll do just an impromptu reading outside in the summer or whatever on Instagram. I'm getting stuck in the right. I'll try and stop. All right, pardon. This is going to be from Art Wraiths, Her Lunatic Shadow. He saved me once a little, never knowing it, with a line in a song about a woman's shadow. Her lunatic shadow with fangs, a hairy beast, wolfen. In the song he loved her, an entire song's worth, sang of her light, bathed in her details and listed them. Then I knew I could be loved in spite of my beast. God, let me tell you, this human scene is too riddling. Christ experienced life as human and suffered hellacious pain, but knew he must knew this calling was his, knew he had your love, and he would soon be with you. I know I have your love, but so does everyone else, and I want to be exquisite and dear. The dearest. This is sin, but it plagues me. I grow old, but do not rise above a plaguing. A beast can never feel dear enough. I toil at creating my pain because I must. I throw my arms around it, this loom of despair. To the song from Nick Cave, where he loved the beast in her. The very next poem in the collection, which is available on Amazon.com, Art Wraiths, Amy Zoller's, is called Regardless. And it's basically, to tell a secret, a rewrite of that poem, but to be suitable for Siren's Call, e-magazine, which it was printed in a while back. All right, we're going to end light with Art Wraiths. Beat Rondo, Tony's eye circles. Send word of my urges to Tony's eye circles. I needed the cool of the sheets on my bare feet. Mention my perfume to that luscious mane of his. The dent in his chin is where I smear my blue lipstick. Hello, sailor. And what would 1967 say? We thought we looked good, he said. New York had rejected their mysterious haircuts, and it smarted. It bewildered. So he disregarded their television programs with impunity, all except the Beverly Hillbillies, sold his clothes, and banished all American chicks to the fabled land of wind and ghosts. An airplane in a storm yelled a radio message, send word of my urges to Tony's eye circles. Then silence. I like a bit of rain, me, he said, to no one in particular, in between yogurt baths, just to break the tension. He was fed up with the palm trees, but would give his handsomely jumbled eye teeth to see a girl drive a car. He was always wowing them with his willingness for Eastern food. Don't lose the scent of his aftershave. Send word of my urges to his eye circles. Make it plain to the world that they belong to me. I lock them away in my Hungarian puzzle box. Whisper my lightning to his eyes. For them the mortal cries. Art Wraiths, if you really want to get wound up about artists like I do, musicians specifically in this tome, as they say, it's a love letter to so many musicians through the years. And if you tune in to The Good Lord Willing and the Creek Don't Rise, the new episode of Podcast in A Minor tomorrow or tonight, whichever I do when I hit publish, it will address a little of Art Wraiths, a little of Transfusion Poetica, which helped to, the blurbs on the back inspired the song that I needed to write quickly for the last episode of National Poetry Month of Podcast in A Minor. So that is Art Wraiths, available on Amazon.com. It's got a lot of art in it too, a lot of portraits and dolls and stuff I made in moments of deep searing devotion. Songs of Searing Devotion, that's the subtitle. All right, I knew Searing Devotion was in there somewhere. All right, so I think finally we've got a real purple. It's got some good pink in it too. It's like a mixture. I ran out. Did I say this already? Probably. I ran out of the ink colors. I mean, I had used all my ink colors and I didn't want to repeat green and pink, that bold pink, and the red and blue. And I didn't have any black. Black was what I really wanted. I finally bought some yesterday for what will be the final block if all comes together. But I wanted to use some blue I had and mix it with pink and get some purple. But the blue was oil-based and the pink was water-based, but it worked anyway. So hey, all right, you just try, see what happens. The block print, poetry hats, where I will inscribe the poetry hat phrase of today. My little boy years ago in his little raccoon hat, faux raccoon hat from Bass Pro Shop. What will it be? One singer in a world of billions, blithely born in Berlin. We all know who I'm talking about. All right. And that will be the phrase, of many words that I will inscribe on here. But the good news is what's been fun to do with this is just cut up the actual piece drawn and glue it on there. Because, well, I think, and that might be a trick of the oil-based ink, whether there was water-based ink in there or not, because water-based is usually what I use for the block prints. But But the oil-based makes it tricky to get the paint marker to work on there, or the whatever else I've used. Basically, I think Sharpies is too dark for a Sharpie, but the oil-based does not want to take the paint marker. So that's been the solution. So that's like art, solution. What's the solution? What do I do if that didn't work? So that's what's fun. All right. Very happy Tuesday to you. Beautiful Tuesday. Check out Podcast in A Minor. There'll be a new episode tonight or tomorrow. And I hope that you're having a wonderful, wonderful wind down to National Poetry Month, although I don't see it as a wind down until the very last day, when we will wind it down by stringing together every phrase pulled from the Poetry Hats can. Read it as an entire poem. We won't do it like last year when I did it with sweater poems. I didn't do it on the Breakfast Live because I did the drawing Breakfast Live, and I wanted to be able to put it all together. Came back, popped in for a live on Instagram, and then released an ebook. So lots to do, lots of fun. Wow, 21 minutes. I think this is the longest one of the month, because we'll see how it goes, and I'll try and go back in live if I can, but so I can't really freak out about it. So beautiful, beautiful Tuesday to you. See you tomorrow. I think I will. Maybe I'll be here forever if I can't end the recording. Did it. I think I did it. Did I do it? It's just sitting there. Anyway, the ticker is still going. Let me try. Let's